Little Horse and Big Conversation. Welcome to Little Horse and Big Conversation, where we give them their say, let the horse guide the way. Here at Little Horse and Big Conversation, we have the choice, so let's give them a voice. Here at Little Horse and Big Conversation, Little Horse and Big Conversation.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Little Horse Big Conversation podcast with your co-host, me, Ross Cooper, and Amy Mitchell, who today is going to be in the hot seat with a number of pre-prepared questions, which I know, but Amy doesn't.
Da da da! There's a moment of jeopardy.
You think we can get Liza to do some kind of dramatic music?
Oh dear.
I don't think you will sweat half as much as when I was in the hot seat, but I think they're questions that you'll enjoy, and I think everyone will also find hopefully quite insightful.
Okay, I'm
Because you,
intrigued.
because you have, just like your hair, quite a colourful life.
Yeah.
Um, so for those who don't know Amy, Amy has had a previous life before setting up a very successful hoof care business. So my question is, what or who made you career swap?
So it was a horse. Well, it was a combination of things. I was working in the city as a project manager stroke process improvement consultant. Traveling into London every day, and it was a job that I was good at, but it didn't fill my soul with any kind of joy. So I was already kind of feeling like I wanted to do something different and that I needed to make a change in my life, but I just didn't really know. I just didn't know what to do or how to find that new thing. And I think, as often happens in life, something comes along that nudges you in a particular direction. And for me, that was a very lovely horse that I bought called, well, her stable name was Mary. She was also, her racing name was Heavenly Pursuit. And I got her as a 3 year old, straight from the trainers off the track. And looking back, I don't really know quite what I was thinking. I didn't really have the knowledge or skills to be having an ex-racehorse, but you convince yourself of all sorts of stuff, don't you? And I mean, I hadn't had a horse for several years at the point that I bought her, so it was a bold move. But she was an amazing little horse, and I learned a huge amount from her about horses, but also about myself. But she, amongst her many issues, she, well, I'll cut a very long story short. She ended up being diagnosed with a fracture in her left fore in the pedal bone. So she ended up on 3 months box rest with a set of heart bar shoes on to stabilize the fracture. The box rest was awful for her and for me. She hated every minute of it. She wasn't a horse that liked being in the stable anyway, and just couldn't understand why I wasn't letting her out. So it was an awful, very stressful 3 months that we went through together. Then she got to the end of her 3 months, and because she also had some collateral ligament damage, my vet had suggested that she then had 3 months turnout to see whether we could get the ligament damage any better than it was. Got the shoes taken off her and a set of normal shoes put on. But when she came out of the stable that first time, she was so sore because her feet had been cut really short. Even with the shoes on, she was really sore. And at the time, I mean, she had shockingly bad feet, which at the time I didn't understand that. I didn't know what I was looking at. But I mean, now she had the exact thing that everyone thinks of when they think of thoroughbred feet. I mean, they were so underrun and so contracted. Um, she was the horse that whenever she lost a shoe, you'd have thought she'd broken her leg. But it was that kind of seeing her come out of the stable after that 3 months of box rest and seeing her walking out really sore. It still makes me feel a bit emotional now, to be honest, and it really upset me. And I wanted to try and do better for her, and started looking into things and started reading some stuff about barefoot horses and people that had transitioned thoroughbreds out of shoes. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting. Maybe this could be the answer. And as you would expect, got told by lots of people, don't be ridiculous, you can't take shoes off that horse, you're being cruel, this, that, and the other. But me being my somewhat pig-headed self, generally when I get an idea in my head, I will see it through to the bitter end. And thought, actually, this foot thing is really quite interesting. And I got just kind of fascinated by it and decided that I was going to go off and learn everything that I could about it. So yeah, I looked into what training was available at the time and found the course that I did, the equine podiatry training course, and went off and learned about it mainly initially to help her. But the more I learnt, the more kind of sucked into it I got, and so this is just the coolest thing. And she ended up, I lost her when she was 8 years old because she had a tumor on her liver that wasn't treatable, which was heartbreaking. But she changed my life, which was why my business was originally called Heavenly Hooves. It was in recognition of her racing name being Heavenly Pursuit. And Ross can see I've got a big photograph of her that I had done behind me on my wall here. And yeah, so yeah, she changed my life, that little horse, and that's how I ended up in the world of equine podiatry rather than working in the city doing my old project management job. So there you go.
That is a lovely photo, by the way. I always admire that one.
Yeah, she looks beautiful. And what I love about that picture, and in fact I had a whole series of pictures done of her on that day, but what I love about it is that was 2 weeks before she was put to sleep. But she looks, despite the fact that she was really unwell, she looks amazing on those pictures.
He does.
So yeah, you never would have known.
No.
So lovely memories to have.
Yes.
I always just feel gutted that she didn't manage to, because this all happened around the time that I was moving up here. So, we were on a livery yard, which was great. It was a livery yard that was owned by my friend. And but this whole track system thing was totally new to me, and I'd just kind of been learning about different management approaches and so on. And I just wish she could have managed an extra 6 months and could have come up here and lived out on the track, because I think she would have loved it. I think, she'd have been in her element because she was a horse that loved to be out. And yeah, but it's because of her that I've got the track now that my horses and other horses get to take advantage of. So yeah, have a lot to be thankful to that little mare for. So
Yeah.
yeah,
She really paved the way. She really
it
paved
did.
the way, didn't
Yeah,
she?
yeah, yeah. She
So
did.
I don't know if that actually cancels out my next question.
Haha, maybe it does.
Which, I mean, so besides that with Mary, and again, you can use that as an example if you would like.
Hmm.
My next muse was, can you think of one event in your life that has shaped your life going forwards or you as a person? Something that you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah. No, that is an interesting. I mean, obviously, that she had a massive impact on me. Um, but also on a different note, when I was working in London, I started off. I was working for Aviva Insurance, and I was there as an employee. And I was working in a project team, and they had a consultant that came in, a lady called Dunia Roberta. She was a Portuguese lady, and she was amazing. Like, just the most energetic and inspiring, and like she was fantastic. And she left and got a contract at Lloyd's Bank, and then contacted me and said, "Why don't you come and do contracting work instead? Much better rate of pay. Bit of a risk. It's a 3-month contract to start, but it'll probably get extended and so on." And so she, she got me into the contracting world, which meant that I then earned very good money for a couple of years, which meant I was able to buy my land here outright and was able to set the track and so on off. But she, not only that, she really gave me a lot of confidence in myself. Like, she had a lot of belief in me as a person, and I guess allowed me to see myself through different eyes. And like some of the crazy creative ideas that I used to have, that you can imagine working in a bank, some of those some of those things, like she'd be like, "Yeah, go for it, let's do it." And I ended up coming up with some like quite mad presentations about stuff. But she gave me an awful lot of self-belief that I don't know that I would have gone on to have done the things that I've done were it not for the time that I spent working with and for her. So I will be forever grateful to her for that. She's a fantastic person. And yeah, makes me feel a little bit emotional, and I feel like I should get in touch with her again because I've not spoken to her for it. But I ended up, I think, after I'd moved up here and I'd set my business up, and I did send her an email and just to say thank you to her. Yeah, I think she was a fantastic role model for me. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And it's that I think sums up one of your most favorite quotes.
Go for it. Which one? I have a few.
The, I'm pretty sure it's the Maya Angelou one. People will never
Ah,
forget
yeah.
butchering it here,
Yeah.
but people will forget what you did, but people will never
Yeah,
forget.
people forget what you say and people will forget what you do, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And yeah, that's yeah, that that very much fits. Yeah. Yeah. She
Talk to
gave me
me.
I was in a very difficult personal relationship throughout that time, and she allowed me to see a better version of myself than the person I was becoming as a result of that relationship. Yeah. There you go. You wasn't
Invaluable.
expecting to go that deep.
No, I thought, if I'm honest, I thought my episode would be the deep one, but if uh, but thank you for sharing that because I think that actually is really inspiring, and I really do think you should get in touch with her.
Yeah, definitely. And I think all of us have people that we look up to, and people that have helped us along the way. And I think it's also really important to acknowledge that,
Yes,
and to appreciate the helping hand that we've all been given.
yes, yeah, massively,
Yeah.
massively.
Yeah. What's next on your question list?
Okay, so, oh, which one do I go for now? So, Amy,
Mm.
hoof care, it's your
Yes.
area.
Yep.
What would you change for the better about the hoof care industry?
Oh, do you know what? I don't even have to think too hard about that. I would change all the horrible infighting that goes on. Like it drives me insane, and it comes from all sorts of quarters of the hoof care world. Like, at the end of the day, we are all mostly people who are passionate about what we do, and we've been on our own journey and we've learnt things in different ways. And there are different ways of doing things, some better, some worse, but most have some validity. I just think there's so much infighting and unpleasantness, and it's horrible as a practitioner to have to try and deal with that, but it is so confusing for owners, and at the end of the day it doesn't help anyone, and it doesn't help, it doesn't help owners and it doesn't help horses. uh there is more than one way to skin a cat. There are things that will work for one horse that won't work for another. um we would all do so much better, I think, by being supportive of each other, and you know, taking on board different ideas and different ways of doing things. That it might be that you come across that one horse that you think, actually, that thing that I saw that person do 5 years ago that I thought wasn't for me, maybe it's going to work in this situation. So I think just being a bit more open and a bit more respectful to each other, and less of the I know best and all that kind of one-upmanship, and having to, people putting each other down. It's just like that I hate. If I could change one thing, it would be that, because I actually think you know, that's the biggest problem with our industry at the moment.
It is, and I think that is a very, very good blanket statement for the industry at the moment because it just seems to be happening everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just, I obviously see it a lot in the hoof world because that's the world in which I live in, but you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And
But
yeah, a bit more collaboration.
that'd be nice. And I think this is one thing that I've always admired about you is that if there is someone that you admire or something that you want to reach out, whether it's a collaboration, whether it is anything along those lines, you've always been very, let's put it out there.
Mm,
What's the worst that could happen? Lots of great stuff could come out of it,
yeah,
which
absolutely.
has for you. So that is definitely one thing that I've always admired about you. Um, are there any other professionals that inspire you?
Uh, Gosh. Yeah, are we talking in terms of hoof care or?
I was thinking hoof care, but anyone that
Yeah. No,
springs to mind.
I'll keep it within the world of hoof stuff, I think. Um, I mean, David Langeville, I'm hosting him for a clinic later this year. In fact, in a few weeks' time. He's someone I really have a lot of admiration for. He has some interesting ideas around trimming, and I was fortunate to go on one of his clinics last year in the States, and learnt a lot from him. And I think, from a technical perspective, I think he's got some really great ideas and he gets some fantastic results. But I also really like who he is as a person. So he's a very genuine person. Again, like what we were talking when we were talking about your people, the likes of Nashon, Mark Rashid, people like that. He's very authentic. But I really also I like the fact that he takes the horse's feedback so much into the equation in the way that he works, which was quite a kind of breath of fresh air in terms of hoof care. So, the clinic of his that I went to, we started off by doing some kind of deep breathing type exercises to make sure that everyone in the group had their energy in the right place. And he talks about how, he really works on keeping his energy kind of low and deep into his stomach rather than allowing it to kind of pull up into the chest, and then, so working with the horse's energy, and then really looking for the horse's feedback in terms of when the horse puts their foot back down, what response do you get from the horse, and just all this kind of stuff. It was like, wow, this is really cool. And it really kind of resonated with me. So David, I think is a great person. I also have a lot of admiration for Lindsay Field. So she does a lot of work. She's a scientist. She does a lot of work doing dissections of horses' feet and kind of learning from that. And she's done some really good stuff. And I like her approach and her kind of open-mindedness. And I like the fact that she doesn't, she'll look at something and question it and isn't wedded to a particular thing. So, she has an interest in barefoot horses, but she can also see a place for shoeing, and and I like that, and I like that she stands for what she believes in. So she's someone I think is really cool. There's also a lady called Megan Hensley. So I don't know if you will have come across her. She's Megan Hensley, the donkey farrier. She's an American lady. Never had the pleasure of actually meeting with her or talking to her, but I love her stuff. So she does lots of stuff advocating for donkeys and donkey hoof care. And she's developed a course for owners to be able to learn how to trim donkeys' feet properly and look after donkeys' feet, because it's really specialist. And I just think she comes across as a really great person, and I get the feeling that she's in the way that happens with females in this sort of line of work, but she's had to deal with some quite negative stuff sometimes from some of the the more sort of like rah, we farriers, you woman don't know what you're doing kind of thing. So but I love the stuff that she's doing. I think she's a great advocate for donkeys, but also for other women in our profession. And then closer to home, I know it's the nutrition side of things, but as we say, it's all connected. Nia Cook. So Nia, she's a friend of mine. She teaches on the equine podiatry course. But I just like the way she's developed her business and seeing how that's grown and the energy that she brings to it, and the real positivity and that desire to do the right thing for the horses. Is she? So yeah, she's another. And I could keep listing more and more people, but we'd be here all day talking about all that. But yeah, they're just a few that immediately spring to mind. But yeah, I think there's lots of great people out there in the world of hooves and hoof care doing some really cool stuff. So yeah.
Very comprehensive list there.
Yeah. I say there's plenty more. I feel a bit bad for not mentioning a whole host of other people now, but yeah.
We could do a spotlight episode one day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just sticking with the hoof care theme,
Yeah.
what is it about hoofs, or is there something that you really enjoyed? What excites you about hooves?
Do you know what I love is going along to a new client and coming across a set of like really bad feet or feet with some kind of really significant problem, and having to like think, oh, okay, this one's this is a tricky one. What are we going to do here? And that kind of, I guess in some ways it goes back to my old process improvement type days. I like that kind of like, okay, right, what have we got? What is it we're trying to achieve? Where are we now? What's good about this? What's not good about this? What are we going to put in place to improve it? And then watching the improvements happen. I really, I guess maybe in some ways it goes back to Mary again, but I particularly enjoy seeing thoroughbred feet improve, because there's, for a long time there was a belief that thoroughbreds had terrible feet and that there wasn't really anything that you could do about it. But I think given the right circumstances, that's absolutely not true. And it's really satisfying seeing those improvements. Yeah, that's what I enjoy most.
Anything else? What comes a close second?
Uh, do you know what? I also think I'm really lucky. I've got such a awesome group of diverse clients. And because of the way that I work now, so most of my clients are on a 4 week schedule, and I have like a subscription membership rather than a paying per trim. So I've got quite a relatively small group of clients that I see on a really regular basis. And I actually I love going and seeing how people are doing and the things that they've been getting up to, and kind of sharing in their journeys of stuff, because inevitably, a lot, of course, I'm there to do feet, but in the same way that, in your session we were talking about the fact that everything is connected, inevitably we end up talking about all the other things involved in the horse. And I really, yeah, I really enjoy going out and being part of people's story. I think it's great.
That's really nice because I think a lot of the time you don't feel that you make a big impact, but actually from another perspective, you will.
Yeah, I think, and when you're able to make a recommendation about something, and sometimes it can be just like a small thing, but it makes a big change. It's really, that's really satisfying.
Yes. Yes. Excellent answer. So I've got two finishing questions.
Okay, cool.
So, for those who do know you, and for those that don't, you are obviously very successful with your multiple businesses of of now known as Strong Foundations Hoof Care
Hmm.
and Orion Academy.
Yeah.
So, running your podiatry, integrated podiatry.
Yep.
What is next for Amy Mitchell, the Hoof Lady?
Cool. Now you're asking. Um,
And what is next for Amy Mitchell, full stop?
okay. So, hoof wise, I have to say I love teaching the students. Um, I think in some ways, because Ryan Academy's been going, we're on our fourth intake of students now. The second got the second cohort about to take their exams in a few weeks. I've been a bit surprised, I think, by how much I've enjoyed like seeing the students go, in the most part, from knowing nothing about, not very much about horses' feet, to at the end of the 2.5 years being really good trimmers and confident in what they're doing, and being able to advise people on the nutrition and on rehab programs for feet. And like it's really, I find it really inspiring. And again, they're a real diverse group of people. They've come from all sorts of different backgrounds, and the workshop sessions that we have are such fun because, yes, we're teaching about the feet and so on, but because they all come from the different backgrounds, the different perspectives, like the conversations that we have are really interesting. And so I think I want to try and, I want to do more of that. So, you know, maybe over the next few years, kind of change the balance a little bit so that I'm doing a bit more teaching and a little bit less trimming. But I don't want to stop the trimming. I really, as I say, I really enjoy it. So yeah, I guess I would like Orion Academy to expand a little bit more because say I really really enjoy it, and it's I had we had a workshop a couple of weeks ago where Kim Holden, who was one of our first cohort of students, came and helped me for the weekend because my usual second in command, Tracy Pettifer, wasn't able to come. And it was so cool, like seeing Kim really confidently talking to the current group of students and helping them. And I was thinking, yeah, it's and about her clients, and it's great. I love it. And I I feel so passionately that people should be given choices, and that, I know that barefoot horses are not for everyone, and I think that's absolutely fine. But I think for those people that want to go down that route, having a choice of practitioners and seeing that people have been properly trained, I think it's a good thing, and I think that's we're moving more and more in that direction. So yeah, that's a bit of a long and rambling answer. Does that
Hey,
kind of answer?
when it's your interview, there is nothing like a long and rambling answer. Just an answer, and a very good one at that. That's professionally. What's next for you
Yes.
personally?
Oh, well, so again, anyone that knows me will know that the other thing that I am very passionate about in my life is my dogs and training my dogs, and particularly I have my boy Dakota, German Shepherd, who is a very good man trailing dog. So that's basically following the scent trail of a particular person. And we are going through the process of getting him hopefully qualified as a search and rescue dog. So I'm looking forward to getting to the point where hopefully he and I have got our certification and we can go out and actively help operationally help find some missing people and do some good in the world there. So that's something, and I, just I also do a bit of teaching people man trailing now, so that's a fun thing. Yeah, hopefully do a bit more traveling over the next year or so. It's not been something I've been able to do for a few years because of blood, sweat, and tears into building the businesses, but getting to the point now where hopefully having the occasional little break is not going to make the world fall apart. So
You need an occasional break, otherwise
yes,
the world will fall apart.
indeed, yes, yes, and next week I'm heading off up to Scotland for a week or so with the dogs to get a bit of fresh mountain air. So yes, that's literally what's next in the diary.
And I think heading off some mountain air is a great way to wrap up the end of this time in the hot seat.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well,
I
thank
hope
you.
you
That's
enjoyed them.
no, it's good fun. It's quite got good fun. You got me thinking about some stuff there. So yes.
Excellente. Right. Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed getting to know Amy a little bit more. So thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of the Little Horse Big Conversation podcast. And we will both catch you on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
Little Horse and Big Conversation. Welcome to Little Horse and Big Conversation, where we give them their say, let the horse guide the way. Here at Little Horse and Big Conversation, we have the choice, so let's give them a voice. Here at Little Horse and Big Conversation, Little Horse and Big Conversation.